This is Vanessa Zamora. We're here at PubCon Las Vegas, and joining me is Mr. Joe Laratro, President and founder of Tandem Interactive. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. So we're wrapping up sort of here. It's the last interview of the day. And you have been, well, first of all, let's talk a little bit about, you were with more visibility when I first met you.
Correct.
And then you sort of transitioned out of that and decided to go out on your own. Just for our viewers that don't know, just give us a little blip on, what your company does and the services you offer.
So originally, Tandem Interactive was founded to convert the traditional Yellow Page advertiser into online marketers. And now, it's not really my focus anymore. I do quite a few different things, from online education, training in person, full service implementation services for some larger clients like Cash for Gold, All My Son's Moving and Storage. I mean, some pretty impressive things. And it's been real exciting, and by being a small company, I think I'm able to do a larger variety of things for clients that maybe larger SEOs don't have the ability to be as malleable with. So it's been a good ride, 2.5 years already. My official title this year was lead moderator and
Master of Ceremonies
and speaker liaison.
Excellent.
So that was pretty neat.
Nice.
Although I would say I've done the job probably for 3 years now.
Okay.
Pretty much moderating roughly 14 to 20 sessions each time. We see a lot of feedback in the industry is that the moderators can really control how well the sessions go. And if we can do things in the beginning like try to prevent overlap and try to make certain speakers that want to use the same presentations they've done 3 times and make them at least update it, not to be so basic, and sometimes think outside the box. So the session I just left is I spoke on one session this time. The session I just left was local search, and I'm a little different in local search, that I take the wireless mic, wireless mouse, and go out in the audience and get local.
Nice.
Well, David Klein went a step beyond me, and he said I inspired him, so that was cool, that he went out to the audience last and did live link building. So he basically had people that had websites raise their hands, say what industry they were in, find industries that were related that were in the room, and go separate people into groups to go out and do live link building. So while my move was a little creative last year, I think Dave took it to a whole new level this year.
Very interactive. That's cool.
Very interactive.
I'm sure that'll be blogged or something somewhere.
Yes, I'm sure it's being tweeted and blogged at the moment.
Yeah. So you get to a lot of exposure then, obviously, and you get to hear a lot about what the speakers are talking about. You get to see what they're going to speak about. What were sort of some of the newer themes?
So one theme that's really interesting that I saw across the board is everyone's last slide had their Twitter on it. Blew my mind. I can honestly say I didn't embrace Twitter until last PubCon, and still, while I'm somewhat active on it, it's more when I'm sitting in the airport or traffic or bored, I'll pull the iPhone out or my Motorola Q and I'll sit there and Twitter real quick. But now, I mean, the people following the tweets, it's amazing, and that was something that was very apparent in most of the presentations. Content-wise, certainly social media is still hot. I mean, it was hot last year, it's hot now. Different ways to use it, and I think on the reputation management side, it was a bigger deal last year. It was kind of a quick way to move up in the rankings for some specific search terms, where this year, at least currently anyways, with Google, it's not as easy to work on some of those sites and build up profiles that will outrank some possibly negative stuff. Other things I saw in the sessions, definitely, and this is something we focused on in moderator guidelines, is we want to keep PubCon very focused on being technical. Some of the other conferences are more marketable, more marketing presentations, maybe some more salesy presentations, but PubCon is historically known for kind of being the coders. The people that were doing the work were the people that were actually speaking on the panels, and that has really helped this conference flourish, because I mean that's the reputation that we have, and as a moderator I certainly want to make sure that that happens. And we were going through the presentations were being sent in, we definitely kept an eye on things to try to make sure that we are going into that depth, that this is the hands-on, this is the case study, this is what we did, this is how you do it, not just this is the theory behind it and somebody told me this is the way you do it, so I'm just regurgitating that. I think that's a big deal. I want want to go one step above, and then we'll come down to search.
Okay.
I truly think, and we heard some visionary speaking here, that the web is going to change, and the web is going to get to a point that maybe virtual or Second Life and virtual worlds is going to be a norm. I mean, when you go into a website, because of the bandwidth, because of the enhancements and the technology we've seen, I think it's going to be very likely that going into a website is going to be like going into a brick and mortar store. And there's going to be a lot of challenges around search. But first, so let's say that does happen, and maybe it's 10 years away. But if you go 10 years back and think what we have today, I mean, that 10 years forward, that's
possible.
Maybe even beyond that.
Sure.
Let's say 10 years forward, we're there, and we've got the web is just this completely engulfing experience you immerse yourself in, and it's not just surfing around pages, but getting very involved. And we're starting to see it with the Web 2.0 stuff and user-generated content and critical mass of just there's so much information out there. What's the consumption at this point? Now, search is definitely going to get interesting, because at that point we are maybe more graphical, and how do we design those sites that can be searchable and still have all that content? Local Launch in the last session really talked some pretty interesting things about, let's go back to Florida Update, let's see what happened and how it affected smaller businesses. And he had some great points that local businesses that had rankings are now, because of the link authority and inbound links, they've still never come back up. That the sites like Yellow Pages, IYPs, even review sites end up ranking for some local search terms that maybe they shouldn't. So I think we're going to keep seeing, I don't think that's going away in search, but I think that local businesses have to get more involved in search. They need to have websites. They need to be able to work in websites or work in ways that is easy for them. And one thing I've seen very recently is web design costs, at least where I work, seem like they've doubled in the last 6 months. The rest of the economy is doing bad, we're booming, so I guess web designers think that they can raise their prices. That's great, because they're doing good service, but the small business, the traditional brick and mortar store, maybe doesn't know how to do that. And I think I'm a big proponent of a blogger, and I like hosted blogs, and that I'm in the minority in the search industry, but I think that if we can see these small businesses embrace generating their own content that way and building out bigger sites and talking more about their products and what they do, that's great. I got a little off topic. Let's go back to search. So where is search going? The personalization search is awesome, and I see it all the time. I teach a lot, and when I teach, I show the examples. You search for shoes, you search for office, Google suggests office shoes. You do New York pizza, depending on your search patterns, maybe you get the one box, maybe you get pizza in New York, maybe you get New York style pizza in your area. There's so much happening there that is amazing, and I mean, where it's going to be even 5 years from now, I mean, you would almost have your own fingerprint when you search, and a lot of what we consider today of ranking, position 1 or the first page, is going to be so dynamic, because the intent of searchers, I think, is going to be much more understood by search engines. And based on overall patterns, your individual patterns, your demographics that you're logged in, search is going to get better, and it's going to get more personalized, and knowing where you rank is going to get more difficult.
All right, Joe, well, we're going to wrap up here. Right. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you, my pleasure.
This is Vanessa Zamora here at PubCon Las Vegas. Thanks for joining.
My official, I look at you or I look over there?
It doesn't matter.
Okay.